Welcome to Overwatch, and welcome to the tournament roundup of a few events basically before July 18th. I missed out last week because I want these coming out on the regular for Monday, so we have a bunch of stuff to cover. Let's start with various team news and team changes first and foremost. Two of the larger organizations that have been doing well in North America are undergoing organization changes. First up are Northern Gaming Red, a team that has been going from strength to strength and even put a stop to EnVyUs's legendary map win streak, although they are still yet to lose a full match. They are simply going to be shaking up their branding. Changes at the organizational level with inclusion of Hearthstone player Wreckful mean that they're looking to rebrand. At the time of writing, I think they are still looking for a name other than Northern Gaming. Bigger, juicier news comes from Gale Force eSports dropping the current roster after a mutual agreement that they share different visions, quote unquote. The roster, going back to the old name of Code7, allegedly have asked for a little bit more money, not too surprising considering their results have been steadily improving with time, and Gale Force turned it down. Before anyone jumps on anyone's back here, this is just business, it's not really greed talking. It's known in the scene right now that a number of teams and sponsors have been looking to pick up rosters on the cheap as money slowly increases in the scene as a whole. Expect negotiation and renegotiations consistently until we have a stable series of events with large prize pools to put finances in context. Of course, hindsight does clarify everything, and Code7 have been winning above and beyond what was expected of them, so this feels like a rather good move. Best of luck to them and to Gale Force. So let's get the biggest event down first. By the time this goes up, the European Atlantic Showdown qualifiers will be rolling into Week 3, but Week 2 saw rather expected results with Northern Gaming Blue, Creation, Rogue and Melty advancing into the later qualifier. No real surprises in the brackets either. In North America, we saw Liquid, Nubris, Code7 and a mix-up team, that is a team formed purely more or less for this tournament, Cialgi, a play on CLG because it's Cialgi is CLG, if you pronounce it with the soft G, there you go. A team comprised of a number of pros who have been floating around the scene for a long time. Their realistic chances in the finishing regional qualifier are, well, rather slim. The Beat Invitationals finished up this week with Code7 making a deep run all the way into second place, beating out Cloud9 in a close 3-2 series before, well, going up against the raid boss that is EnVyUs and getting smashed. I think I'll be using the Code7 vs Cloud9 footage in the background. It was a pretty solid series and definitely worth checking out if you're interested. The story of the Beat Invitational to me was the narrowing gap between the Tier 2 North American teams and the Tier 3 North American teams, with Code7 and Northern Gaming Red stepping up and Cloud9 looking even more mortal. It's just a shame Luminosity wasn't there taking part, but it certainly feels like the gap is closing. A shame EnVyUs are still so far ahead of everyone else. iBuyPower has also entered the fray this week with a $5,000 tournament with your now fairly standard open bracket plus invitational format. Bigger surprises so far are the FaZe clan dropping out early and Code7 beating Luminosity 3-0 to secure third place. Envy and Cloud9 taking the number 1 and 2 spots respectively. Cloud9 managing to stop another Envy map winning spree, however, going 3-1. A solid little tournament that ran over one weekend. I actually really like this. I would like to see more tournaments like this, to be honest, but no major surprises or upsets. Beyond the Summit has also come in, a Dota 2 tournament organizer, to get underway with a $10,000 tournament. Invited North American teams will be competing to qualify for a final playoff series that, well, Envy have already made it through, no shock there, but Code7 actually managed to beat Cloud9 to take that second playoff position. I wouldn't be surprised, however, to see Cloud9 and Luminosity both make it through to fill out the top 4, although Northern Gaming Red could play spoiler. In Europe, an event called The Battle did finally round up with a familiar fight between Misfits, Creation and Reunited vying for the top position, Rogue dropping early to Team Misfits. In an exhausting day, Reunited played 3 long series back-to-back, first beating Creation 3-1, then going up against them again in a showmatch that finished 4-3 as the victors, before finally going up against Misfits in the final. No major surprise that the exhausted team lost out 3-1. Might be a little bit worth pacing yourselves better, lads. Let's finish up with the Gosu Weeklies. I've technically got 2 to cover here just because of how these roundups have landed, but we'll just try and summarize where we can. Let's open up with Europe, the more volatile, confusing and tied to packed scene of the bunch. Weekly 15 saw the rise of, I don't know if you could realistically use the term in Europe, but the Tier 2 European team SG1 going on a tear through the brackets. The Finnish team eventually kicked to the losers bracket by Creation after beating Reunited, only for Reunited to meet up with them again in the losers bracket to eliminate them from the tournament. Creation, Rogue and Reunited then proceeded to do the European Shuffle, where everyone takes games off everyone, but Reunited found their footing in the finals to come from the lower bracket and beat down Rogue. Weekly 16 in Europe notably lacked Creation and Rogue, leaving Reunited with a clear path to the finals against Misfits. Notably in this tournament, SG1 once again made it pretty deep, as did longtime team Too Strong, as well as the team of Overwatch veterans called Other Team, who actually managed to take out Northern Gaming Blue. The European side of the organisation definitely not having the same success as the American. In North America, both weeks saw an absence of the major teams, letting Nubris have an easy path through the brackets in both 15 and 16 to take it. Nubris are looking pretty damn strong overall, and I'd like to see them in more of the Invitationals, going up against more of these well-rounded and experienced teams. They can definitely take matches off them and play spoiler. Either way, coming up next week we have more of the Atlantic qualifiers, although the danger now is that the big teams have made it through and it becomes hard to realistically fancy the chances of any of the teams moving into the qualifier from week 3 and 4, as well as the Beyond the Summit tournament rolling further forward. My team of the week has to go to Code7. They have been going above and beyond in results lately, securing high place finishes and firmly crawled their way into the Tier 2 teams. If you are confused, by the way, when I say Tier 2, I mean teams basically like Cloud9 and Luminosity, and now Code7. Northern Gaming Red are basically Tier 2.5. I think once they start taking games reliably off Tier 2, then you're looking good. Tier 1 is just envy. Like, they are on a level of their own. North America is starting to look a little bit more like EU, however, with 4 or so top teams duking it out regularly, and then Envy's just laughing at everybody. Player of the week, I'm going to cheat and give it to MangaChu, the Fragger and Pharah player for Northern Gaming Red. He had stellar performances last week, and this seems to be continuing, his Pharah frequently beating out most of the toughest competition, a large part of why Northern Gaming Red have been looking stronger overall. That said, Northern Gaming still struggle to beat Tier 2 teams regularly, but they're getting there. I'll also give a shout out to Lynx, by the way. Lynx, player for Creation eSports. He's definitely one of the players who can just turn on sort of carry mode, and when Creation are looking a little bit down in the dumps, it's generally on him to actually bring them forward. He's had some amazing plays in the last week, so well done him. I'll put both their details in the description, so go give them some love. Definitely go and watch them if they do start streaming, because it's always entertaining to watch fraggers play. Next week, more ESL Atlantic action, more Go-To weeklies, and we'll be looking at the other tournaments that are happening. You might also be able to do a little bit of meta-analysis or get specifically maybe into why Envy are winning so much. Toodles.